Hey everybody, I am so happy to be back. You cannot believe how happy I am to be back online. First, before I get started, I want to give a shout out to my nephew, Jacob. He is responsible for getting our internet back up and running, and I am so grateful for that. Let's see, I just started streaming, so we'll just wait a few minutes to see if anybody joins me. Today I'm going to be doing a cathedral window. It's the traditional cathedral window. It is not your quick one that you see done nowadays where everything is sewn all together and flat. This is the traditional way to do it. So with a few quick tip tricks, quick whatever. Anyway, hopefully we will get somebody joining. If you join, say hi on chat. And yeah, so for this project, you're going to need squares of your background fabric cut. See, squares. Traditionally, muslin is used, but you can do colors. I have done it in many colors. Let's see. I've got these samples back here. I don't know if you can see them. This is a traditional one, right? See that? And this is an orange one that my mother did. And then this one's really pretty. It's florals. You probably can't see it from there. There we go. See the florals? And the solid is in the middle instead of being the background. So the solid is the window. And then I have the black background, which I really like. And on this one I did something special with the little orange or yellow insert, and I'll show you how to do that. So anyway, the traditional cathedral windows are done. I'm gonna pull this one. Okay, they are done where you can stick your finger. You can always tell a traditional window because you can stick your finger underneath these. They're three-dimensional. Okay, so they're little pockets there, right? So you can always tell whether it's for reals or not. You can do it like this and stitch all of this down and have it all one piece, but that's not really traditional. So anyhow, also mine do not have batting in them. The original pattern I think probably called for batting, I don't know, but you would put it behind each window before you stitched it down, and I don't like that. I like it flat. It's really thin and flat. And these are actually not, without the batting, they're actually not quilts. They're coverlets. So just a different technical term, but you know, they're pretty. So I love this pattern. It's so easy. So without further ado, let's get busy. I hope my sound and everything is coming through. If you join and something sounds wonky, please just say something in chat and I'll look at it. Okay. So for this, you're going to want to use background squares of a certain size, and then the math that goes down from there is if you're, so I'm using a 6-inch square muslin cut, okay, for this one. I'm going to divide that by 4 to get my little window size, which is this little bitty guy, 1.5, okay. If you wanted to do it the other way, you could multiply your window size, whatever you wanted your window size. If you had a whole bunch of 2.5-inch squares cut and you wanted those to be your windows, then you would just multiply that by 4 to get this size for your beginning square there. And then for the insert for the little yellow on the black, I'll show you that later and I'll give you the math for that. Okay, so let me switch to a different view here so you can see what I'm doing on the squares. So you're going to start with your muslin squares, and you're going to take them and you're going to fold them in half. All right, and basically we're making a little pocket or an envelope. So you're going to stitch 1/4 inch on each side. Okay, you know, stitch them together like that, folded. Okay, so let me do that. on this. And this is great because you can chain piece this. So, all right. I hope my camera's not shaking. I had to move it. It was attached to the table and it was like vibrating like crazy yesterday. Okay, let me switch to a different view for you here so you can see what I'm doing. Just chain piecing. So you just put the next one in line right there and just keep on going. And just do one side on several. You need at least 4 to make a window. So I'm doing mine, I think in 6 units, so we'll do 6 here. And if you have questions, put them in chat, because I may miss something, who knows. And you just keep on going. I am so excited to be doing this again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Our internet was so bad, and now it seems to be really good. All right, and for good measure, we'll do one more. Half of this pattern is done at the machine, and half is done sitting in front of the television by hand. Okay. So we chain piece those. Now I'm going to take this little job. If you don't have one of these are really cool. They're they're called blade savers. You can find them in the below in the description of this video. But anyway, you put your rotary blade in there and you can just chop these apart. They're really cool. I have 2 of them. Okay, so then you make a pile of these and you do it again. Stitch on the other side. Okay. All right. And you just want to make sure that they're even. And unlike quilting with blocks and things, this is not nearly as precise. So you can get away with fudging a little bit here and there. All right, and 6. All right. Chop these apart. All right, the reason I'm only doing 6 is I'll show you in just a second, but instead of putting this whole quilt together, the whole thing, and then trying to put the windows in, it would be very difficult to put the windows in the middle of a quilt that large. So you do it in sections, you do it in blocks. So you put several of these blocks together, put all the windows in, and then attach it to another block that has the windows in it, and just do in between them. It's much easier to get to them that way. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take this folded in half, sewn on both ends, right? And we're going to make a pocket. We're going to open the pocket. See that? And then we're going to see if I get this. Okay. These seams, one on each end, you want to push one way and one the other direction, and you want to nest them together like you would if you were sewing blocks together on a quilt. All right. And then you want to take a pin and put it right between them, right there at that where the seams meet. Okay, I hope you can see that. Then you want to only on one side. You can't really pull this pocket out flat straight, okay? So you just want to, on one side, pull it straight like that. And don't worry about the other side. When you go to stitch this, you're going to stitch from this folded edge down, and you're going to stop about right here. Let me get a pen to show you. Okay, so you're going to stitch about an inch or so down, and you're going to stop. You can even put a pin in there to remind you to stop, like that, okay? And then you're going to start again with the machine right about there. So you're going to leave about an inch opening, okay? And then you're going to stitch over these seams that are nested, and then you're going to pull out this side while you're sewing, and you're going to stitch all the way to the end. And you can chain stitch these as well. So I'm working on this half first, so I'm going to put this under the machine, under the presser foot, 1/4 inch seams. Okay, and I want to stitch to that first pin that I put in. Make sure that your 2 corners that you've already sewn are sticking out here and you don't sew over them. Okay, I want to stitch to that spot. And you don't have to cut your thread. You can just raise your needle up and your presser foot up and just kind of pull it out to here. Set the presser foot back down, put the needle back down, and then move everything over. I'm going to show you this in several different views. Okay, and then stitch to the end. Like that, okay? So I'm going to make the pocket again, and I'll switch the view so you can see me sew it. So I'm going to open the pocket up, right? Going to nest these 2 seams that I've already sewn. Stick a pin in that. That's the only pin I really use, just to make sure that those meet in the middle. Pull out this one edge, stick it under the needle here. Change the view so you can see. Okay, I'm going to take, can you see this? Oh, where am I? Yeah, okay, right here. I'm going to stick that under the machine like this, and I'm going to stitch. I'm only going to stitch about an inch. I'm going to stop, lift the needle, and then I'm going to, oh, I can do that the other way so you can see. Then I'm going to pull it forward a little bit like this, set it down. Then I'm going to stick my finger in this pocket here and pull it straight on this side. I hope you can see that. And then when I get to the pin, I'm going to pull it out, stitch all the way to the end. Okay, so what I'm making is these little hello, where are we? We're over here. These little, they look like Chinese wonton something or others. I don't know. Anyway, if you pull out the seams like this, you'll see it's flat. It's a square. You've just attached all the corners into the middle. Okay? All right. So we're going to just do all these. So I'm pulling this like this, and you can do a bunch of these and then sit there and pin them all, and then take them all to your machine and stitch them all. In this pattern, there's you do some on the machine, then you go do some by hand, and then you come back to the machine. So. It says my stream is good, but I don't see any chat. That's odd. Maybe nobody's joined. Oh well, people watch it later. I was thinking about it this morning, and I realized that even though I have grandsons who are not terribly interested in sewing, these YouTube lives that I'm doing, I'm actually able to teach my future generations so they can learn from their grandma or great grandma or whatever, if they're so interested. I thought that was kind of interesting and fun. So it gets quicker to do this. If you accidentally sew over this side and you don't leave that little gap, you can leave the gap on this side, it doesn't matter. Or if you sew over the whole thing and you forget to do the gap altogether, you can use a seam ripper and just make a little gap in there. The gap is used for turning the pocket right side out. That's what we're doing. How many is that? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 2 more. Here we go. Let's see. Live chat. Oh, Reba, you're here. Okay, now I'm sorry. I had to fix my chat thing. Okay. Hi, Reba. And Scott. Scott is my husband and computer guru. So awesome. Okay, so I have 2 to go. Over there and pull this out. Make sure that's out. Okay. 1 more. How are you today, Reba? It's cold here. I'm getting really tired of winter. Of course, you know me, I'd live in Florida if I could, on the coast. Pull it forward, drop it down, straighten this out on this side, stitch. Okay. Is Scott learning to quilt too? He knows how to quilt, actually. Oh, down to 33? Yeah, it was 34 here last night, I think. Whatever. Once it gets below 50, it's just too cold for me. No, he actually knows how to quilt. All right. So, if you don't cut your... change the view again. If you don't cut your... when you skip that little gap there, then you have to go back in and clip all your little threads because you got to turn these inside out or right side out, whatever. Hello, there we go. Okay, so this is where you would take this whole pile of mess and go sit in front of the TV and watch a movie and turn them right side out. Or, you know, you could watch one of my other live videos and learn something at the same time. Okay. All right. So now this is where your knitting needle comes in handy. You want to use the ball end of your knitting needle. You want to put it in here in the hole you left, right? Woohoo! And you want to go across to the other corner, put your finger on it, and push it all through to the right side. This is what you do in front of the TV. All right. Then you got this. So then you want to use the pointy end, not too roughly, and you want to poke out your corners. So now you have this cookie looking thing. Be very careful though, because Don't push too hard, because right now this square is all bias. So all these edges, these 4 edges here, they are all very stretchy. So we don't want to like shove on them and whatever, pull them out, distort them, okay? So you're going to end up with a stack of these squares like this, which I have some of, so I don't have to turn as many. So there's 3. I'll do 2 more. And then we'll go on to the next thing. So ball end in there. Turn it. Hello. Okay. Stick that in there. All right. Flip it all the way through. 6 inches is about the smallest I would recommend anybody do for a quilt or a wall hanging or whatever. I did actually do a miniature one time, and oh my gosh, my window squares were 1/4 of an inch, which is like 4 threads one way and 4 threads another. It was really pretty, but it was only about 4 by 6, I think, or something like that when it was done. 4 inches by 6 inches. I just did it because I like a challenge. So I don't even know where that thing is now. All right. You tiny. Very tiny. Yes, it was. Normally you do about a 9-inch starting square. 9 or 10, something like that. Okay. All right. Now, before you go back to your machine, there's still more hand stuff to do. We take these, get the last corner here. Okay, so we have this stack of these lovely squares. See, they've been reduced in half. Okay, all right, so then you want to take them, and I'm going to use a colored thread so you can see what I'm doing in the video. It's very hard to see white on white. But you want to take each square, make sure it's kind of as flat as you can get it, right? And you've got the middle where all these seams are meeting. You've got that kind of in the middle of the block, okay? You want to put your thread, needle and thread. I use a really long needle for this, straw needle. You want to tie a knot in the end, and I'll show you that in a second too. There's a different kind of knot to do. You want to put it in the gap that the opening, and you don't have to close up the opening, which is so cool. You want to come out in the middle, top, right here, okay? And the knot just hides itself inside the pocket, okay? Now, you're going to take your needle and you're going to go into one of the corners, into the very point of the corner, okay? Then, put these over here, all right? Okay, now I usually put my finger here underneath that thread so I can pull it up, so I can pull that up, okay? Then over here on this side, you're going to come into the point, but you're going to do it from the outside into the point, okay? And then you're going to go straight back down into the center like that, okay? And when you pull that, they meet in the middle. The two pieces meet in the middle. Then you want to come back up again on this side. Now, not dead center, because that would make too much bulk in the center. So you want to come up just a couple threads over from the center. I don't know, can you see that? Okay, like this. And then you want to catch the inside of this point, okay? Whoops, this way. Okay, see how it's pulling into the center? And then you want to come on the outside of this point with your needle and go back down in the center over here. And it's going to pull it to the center like that. Okay, so then you have reduced it by 4, and you have this really cool little thing that has where you can stick your fingers under it. See? Whee! Okay, then you're going to tie a knot in the back. Okay, as close to the surface as you can get it. And then if you can, stick your needle back in the same hole it's coming out of, and you're just going to bury that knot. This gets easier with practice. It's the same way you would bury a knot if you were hand quilting or something. So you just pop that knot away and it's gone. And then you just clip this off. Okay, like that. So what you end up with is this really nifty, and you can sit here and play with the corners till you get them pointy, you know, like that. End up with that. Isn't that cute? Okay, so we went from this to this to this. Okay, now to get your knot in your thread, this is what's called a quilter's knot, and I think I'm going to switch to the front view so you can see. Maybe this will work better. Okay, all right, so I'm taking my needle. See the threads coming out in the back here? Some people don't know how to do this knot, and it's really cool. You're going to take the end of the thread. Can you see that? Okay, and you want to point it towards the needle. All right, and you want to grab it with the needle. Then you want to go around 1, 2, 3, right? Point the needle to the sky, pull the thread down into your fingers, and then pull the whole thing down. And you should have a knot at the very end, right there. I think I'll show that again, just for fun, okay? Clip this off. Oops. Hello. Okay. Try it again. Needle and thread pointing up. They're joined, right? Point them towards each other. Grab hold of the needle and the thread. 1, 2, 3. Point the needle to the sky. Pull down on the thread. Grab it and slide it down on the thread. And then you've got a knot. Works every time. So that's how you get your knots for turning these guys. Okay. Find your opening here. Come up through the center. Hold on. There we go. Gotcha. Oh, good. Good. I think you already knew how to make that anyway. All right. So you're going to go outside point like that, and then come around opposite and grab from the outside in on that one. Okay. And then go back down in the center and pull. And then you do the other 2 points, and then you tie off. And this is what I do when I sit and watch TV, and this is just great. You can just do a whole bunch of these all at once. All right. Let me do this one, and then I'll move to the next section. Reba, are you stitching along with me? Or are you just watching? All right, and then bury your knot in the back. I can't believe it was a year ago. Can you put batting? Nope, just watching. Okay, yes, you can put batting, and I'll show you that in just a second. We're almost there. I can't believe that it was a year ago that we did the mystery quilt. I can't believe it. It's just crazy. Okay, so what you're going to end up with is a whole bunch of these little guys, right? And we're going to go back to the machine and we're going to sew them together. So go back to the machine. Let's do this one. Okay. So you're going to take two. You're going to lay them side by side. You're going to push them up against each other, and this is where the zigzag stitch comes in. You're going to zigzag over this to stitch these together. Okay, let me change my stitch here to, I use a fairly wide stitch. You can't really see it on the back, especially if you use a matching thread. So in this case, I would use the beige thread. I'm using white, so you can see it a little bit, but okay. So I'm going to push them up next to each other, put them under the foot like that, and stitch them together. Okay, right. And you can chain stitch this too. You just do two, do two, do two, so forth. Okay, like that. I don't have two more done, so we'll just do this. Okay, so what's going to happen is this is where you're going to put your color, right here. Okay, and these edges are going to roll over, roll over your color. Okay, well, I don't know why that camera's focusing like that. All right, so let me show you. I'm going to stitch some more here, but let me show you these. Overhead, here we go. So the reason I did 6 was because this is a unit of 6 right here. It's 6 of the blocks, of these blocks. See, here's 2, right? 2, 4, and 6. And then I can sit this in my lap while I'm watching TV, and I can stitch these colors in. And then I can attach another 6 block to it. Here's one I made this morning. Like that. Okay. So these would be already done, and then all I would have to do is these 3 in the middle. And I would attach those together by taking them to the machine and zigzagging those. Okay. Hi, Donna. Okay, so you asked about batting, Reba. The point at which you would put batting in if you wanted to is when you're putting the colors in the squares. So once you get it to this stage, right, and you've got your blocks like this, then you lay your colors on where you'd like to have them, and I just pin them down. If you're traveling with it, you might want to safety pin them in place so they don't like fall off or whatever. And you know, and you can try out different colors in different places and stuff like that. Okay, and then what you're going to do with the colors is, so I'm going to work on this blue one right here. Okay, so it's got 4 sides to it, and these are bias sides. So it allows you to roll it over like that. Okay, and then I take my pins. I use 2 pins per side, and I pin from the inside out like that. I'll show you a close-up of it in just a second. Let me pin this one in so you could see. Okay, I usually, on this one, I would probably only use 1 pin per side because it's a 6-inch, but you get the idea. Let me roll this like this. Nope, gonna use 2. So if I wanted to put batting in, Reba, I would put it behind this blue piece before I did this pinning. And then I would stitch it down like I'm going to show you, and the batting would be behind each individual window. That keeps it a traditional cathedral window because you can still put your finger behind the colors, behind the windows, or through the windows, if you will. Okay, 2 more, and then you'll see how this looks. I don't know, I hope that's not too far away for you to see it. Okay, so I've put 2 pins per side. I've rolled it over. There we go. See, and I've already stitched these 3. The pink one is not stitched. It's just pinned on. And then the blue one, this one, is pinned, ready to go, ready to stitch. Okay, and I can still, these are already stitched, right? But you can see that it's 3-dimensional. I can still put my finger back there. Okay, and on these I used white thread. You can't see it. You just really can't. In fact, on these other ones, here's the black one. You can't see it. Now you can back this if you want, you know, put batting back here, put a backing on it. But I don't know. It's up to you. This is how I do it. Can I shift a little to my right? Okay, hang on. On a larger block, can you sew down the biases? Yes, you can. You can sew these curves on the machine. You can even do it on this one. But that would sew everything together and make it flat and not where you could stick your fingers underneath it. It's just a technical thing, whether you like it or not. I like to hand stitch myself, so I do the machine stuff and then I go, you know, work on the hand stuff separately. So it's always something that I can be working on, something I have in my bag that I can work on. Shift a little to my right. Right, left, right. Hold on. I have different machines, Donna, different cameras. Ha, hi. So, yeah, so let me show you how to do the color behind, which is, see this black here? And in this case, the yellow. That's kind of fun. It just adds a little interest, you know? So to do that, when you go to stitch your pieces together, these pieces, okay, you're going to insert color first. Let me get a couple more together and I'll show you. Okay. How are you, Donna? How are you doing? I was telling Reba it's cold here. You're in Florida though, aren't you? It's probably beautiful there. You could probably even do this part. Hold on. You could probably even do this tacking part by machine if you wanted to. If you, you know, folded these in and went over to your machine and just used a zigzag with a 0 stitch length. You could probably do that too. If you wanted to do it all by machine, you could certainly do it that way. All right. Let me do 2 more of these and I'll show you how to put the color in the back, which is really cool. It's actually something I figured out this morning. Okay, 1, 2, these 2 sides. If you don't understand what I'm doing right here, you can go back and scan through the video and watch the parts that you missed. It's really, really a simple pattern, and it's so relaxing. This is one of the first patterns I ever learned to do. And in fact, we used to sell these kits. I got one out just to show you. This is a class I used to teach. I can do this cathedral window. This is the 6-inch one. And no, I don't have any more kits. We don't sell them anymore, but they were fun. It was a fun class. I'm going a lovely day here. Went to the beach this morning. Oh, I am so jealous. That is so not fair. I think the puffy would be prettier. Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah. If I was doing it puffy, I would certainly do it behind each one and then do it by hand, so it would still be traditional. But that's just me. You can do whatever you want with this thing. I like the idea of having a different color instead of muslin. Muslin is a traditional color to use. Where's my other needle? I do not know. Oh. But I love the black ones. They're really cool. Edgar's over here hanging out. Not saying much. Thank goodness. Oh. Okay, I only need one of these. All right. Okay. All right, one more. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. It's really a simple pattern, so I don't really know what else to tell you other than this is a fantastic way to use your scraps. It's also a really cool I Spy. If you want to make an I Spy quilt for a child, each one of these squares could be a different, you know, animal or whatever. Okay. Down here. And then up. My machine setup is going to be totally different for the next video. I just threw this together to do the first one back, and just to show this technique. All right. See, they're really fast to do. Boop. Okay, so I got those two together. Now, to do the color behind the windows, to try this, I've done the mock. So now, yeah, totally. Yeah, when you were showing me your mock one, which is, I think some people call it orange peel, in a version of orange peel, but it's a mock cathedral window. That's the first thing I thought of was, oh, you would love this traditional way. So, okay. So, to insert the colors underneath, the size of the color underneath is bigger than the size of your window colors, okay? It is, the size of the color underneath, in this case, the black, is going to be the size of one of these puffy ones folded, all right? So where I'm putting on this one, I started with a 6-inch muslin square, right? And then I divided that by 4 to get my 1.5-inch little window squares. Hold on, there we go. Right? Well, to get the one that goes behind, in this case the black, you would want to measure this, whatever this is. And this is a 2.5. I already know that. And I didn't bring any 2.5 over here. That figures. Hold on a second. Oh, I can't go that way. Okay, well, hold on. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. It is live after all. Okay, you're going to need 2 of that size. That size. In this case, 2.5. And you're going to want to fold each one in half. All right? And you're going to take that one that's folded in half and you're going to stick it inside this little part where your finger goes through. Right? And you want it to where the raw edges of your square are on the side that's going to get zigzagged. So you tuck it in here. Can't do this backwards. Okay. Okay. Hang on. All right, you tuck it in there behind that, like that. Okay. And your raw edges of your blue are going to be down here because this is going to get zigzagged to this one like that. Okay. So you go ahead and tuck it all the way in. So get it all nice and comfy in there. And it actually disappears when you, okay, it's like, whoa, it's gone. Let's see. So you do that on both of them. Okay. Let me do the other one real quick. Make sure your folded edge is going towards where you sewed it, everything down in the center where you tucked it down. Maybe that's a better way to remember it. Uh-oh, the cats are trying to get in the house. That's going to make the dog crazy. Sorry in advance if he barks. Okay. So I'm tucking this under, right? Tuck it under. There, that's all gone. Okay. Then you're going to take the 2 and where you've put the blue, you're going to zigzag down that edge, zigzag them together. And hopefully it will catch some of the blue in the zigzag when you run it through. Okay. So I'll do that right now. Let's see, go to the machine. Yeah. Okay. So blue to blue, like this. Line them up. Set them in. I'm on zigzag. Yes, I am. All right. Okay. All right, so then that color is in there. And you're just going to put your color, put your color in here, and then you'll fold over your edges. You'll roll them over as you did before, you know, over that color, right? And that'll expose the color underneath. That's how that works. And so it turns out like this. See, I put my color in here and rolled these over and it exposed the black. The black popped out. So anyway, that's a fun little way to do it. I just love the way it looks because it's like, oh, it's like a little surprise, you know. Hold on. Yeah, it's like a little surprise. It's like, woo, isn't that pretty? Yeah. And there's another thing you can do also. You can, if you like math, you can do 2 different size of background squares so that you have little ones, and then you might have one big one, you know, like these aren't comparable in size, but you get the idea. You can have little ones and then have one big one, right? And then little ones. I don't know. Play with it. See how that works. I have no idea. But I really like that color in behind. That's really kind of cool. So yeah, so if I wanted to, I could stitch these 2 together. In fact, I think I will, because they're ready to go. The one with the black and the other. And remember, I was doing these. I was doing them in six blocks per set. So I just need 2 more, and I've got another set here ready to go. Now, next thing I want to show you is how to actually sew the colors in. So, anyhow, there you go. And that black is back there. It'll just pop out when you start sewing. So cool. Okay, to do the handwork on this, you will want to have, here's some matching thread to your background color. In this case, I'm using muslin, so I will use beige. Let's see. Which hand seam do you use? I don't understand the question. This is pretty... Oh. Well, it is easy, Donna. It really, I mean, easy is relative, but it's really not that difficult of a pattern to master. I love that it's the setup is done on the machine, and then it's portable. Once you get the colors on the windows where you want them, you could do it anywhere. You can take it and sew it anywhere. Okay. Needle. I know I have 2 of them. Here's one. Okay. Okay, so we are going to stitch these down now. So you make your quilter's knot like I showed before in your thread, and then I'm going to have to stand up and try to do this closer to the, yeah, okay. This is where you use your thimble too. All right, so see if I can do this. I hope that's in focus. So you have these 4 edges that are pinned down, okay? You want to take your needle and you want to go out one of the points. So you want to stick it in between where these 2 are rolled over, and you want to come out in this corner point right there. All right? And that's going to put your knot inside. It's going to tuck away inside there. It's going to be gone, okay? Then you want to turn this around 180 degrees, I guess. And then you want to start doing what's an applique stitch, basically. You want to stitch inside the edges of these pieces that are rolled over, bringing them together. It's like a blind stitch, all right? I don't know if you can see what I'm doing or not. I'll do it in front of the other camera too, just in case. But anyway, you want to stitch out just a little ways to pull that, hello, there we go. To pull those 2 together right there. And then you want to stitch along this edge right here, this edge. As you pull the pins out, just stitch this edge. When you get close to this, where these 2 are supposed to be together, grab this other one and stitch them down into the corner. Okay, I'll show you. So I'm going to come over here. All right, now I'm on this edge. So I'll pull this pin out. I usually pull both pins out so I can use my thumb to hold it. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch down into the blue. I'm going to travel my needle behind the blue, and I'm going to come up in the fold of the muslin, right there. All right. Never travel with your thread on top. In other words, I'm coming out of the muslin. I don't want to stick my needle in to the left at all. I want to stick my needle in directly across into the blue and travel behind the blue where it's hidden and come up in the fold right there of the muslin. Okay? And that's going to stitch down that curve right there. Okay? So let's see what we got. The hand seam when you sew the bias, that's what I was talking about. Yes, you can do this hand seam by hand, or you can do it by machine. If you were doing it by machine, you would just pin it down, I guess, and just take it to your machine and stitch it with a straight stitch. I'm not that good with the machine. I'm better with handwork. So you just keep going with this applique stitch. Keep rolling and use your needle to push the stuff underneath. All right, let me get to the other side here. Now I'm getting close to this other corner. Not yet. Almost. Okay. Close. Maybe one more stitch. All right. Then I'm going to, from this muslin side, I'm going to grab the edge of this one and pull them together. Okay, and that will take that corner of the blue and hide it underneath there. And then I'm going to come across, directly across to the muslin on this side, to the edge, put it in the fold, go a little ways over, about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch or so, and keep pulling and sticking that underneath. And you just want to close up this point, okay? So stitch back and forth, little blanket stitch there, close up that point. Okay. Then when you get to the end of this point, and this happens all the time, you get caught on your pins, but whatever. Okay. When you get to the end of that point, turn it around, rotate, okay? You want to rotate. And that little blue sticking out, we don't want that. And then you want to stick the needle in the point, travel it down, and come out in the fold of the next muslin arc that you're stitching down. Yes, like hand sewing quilt binding, exactly like hand sewing quilt binding. You're binding the edge of your colors in the windows. That's all you're doing. So yes, so you would, again, travel behind the blue, but don't stick the needle too far down or you'll stitch down the window completely, and you don't want to do that unless you're doing it by machine or something and you really just want to do that. Okay, just travel like this. Keep traveling. Somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch each stitch. Roll, travel, come out in the fold, go down, travel, come out in the fold. When you get close to the corner of your color, that's when you know it's time to grab the other bias edge and pull them together like that. Okay. One more just for good measure. All right, and then rotate. And you're going to do all 4 sides like that. So go in the point, because you need your needle to be back out here on this bias edge. Come out in the bias edge, right there. All right, remove your pins for that edge and use your thumb to roll. This is why I said you only work with small blocks and then put the blocks together, because you see this right here, I'm folding this over. If I was trying to get this color in the center of a huge quilt, that would be almost impossible. So you work with it little squares at a time like this, and then you stitch them together. And then for the outer edge of your quilt, I'll show you what to do on that. Just a minute. Oh, this is actually not a bad view right here. All right. And there we go. Catching on the head of the pin always. All right, now I'm going to come across here and grab this edge here. Stitch all the way down to the point. Oh, for Pete's sakes. There. I'm so glad y'all are joining me today. This is so cool. I have missed y'all. Right, rotate. Go back out this way, out of the fold. Take out your last 2 pins. And see how that color is nicely tucked in there? All sewn up. I wish I was there. Yes, I wish you were here too, very much. Of course, if you were here, I would have you hooked on bag making, because that's the new thing in my life. And before I let you go, I will try to show you a couple of my new bags. They're really cool. It's a whole different world. But you can use scraps, and you can upcycle also, which is really cool. Okay, so on your last stitch, on your colored squares, go directly down like you have been in the blue in this case, and then you want to kind of pull this apart a little bit and come up between, I know you can't see this in the video, but you want to come up between these 2 muslin strips that come together, and that way you can tie your knot and then sink it back down and it's gone. Okay, so you'll want to tie your knot on the surface. And then, unless you lose the thread, and then you can stick it right back between those 2 bias edges and make it disappear. Bloop, all gone. Okay, so that's done. There. So I would just do that with every color window that I have. Okay. And then to end it, all you do is take your window squares. Let's see. Let's go with a yellow. You would take a window square and you would fold it in half diagonally like this. And you would put it on the edge like this. All right. Then you're going to pin it in place. I would pin once back here. Okay. And then these are your 2 bias edges you're going to roll and stitch down. I know you can't see that. I'll pin it so you can. So you would roll this one. Okay, and then this one. And then to stitch this one, since it's the outer edge, and I really wouldn't do my outer edges until I got all my blocks together, because then you can just sit there and do them all the time, all at once. Like kind of like binding a quilt. So in this case, you would stitch your two bias and your edge. You would stitch this edge together just like you were binding a quilt, back and forth, blanket stitch. And so then you would have color all the way out to the edge. None of these I have for samples. Change this. None of these that I show for samples back here have an edge on them. So like this one, it doesn't have a quote border or an edge. It's just, I just left them empty. But you can fold it, the squares in half and put them in there, and then it would go all the way out to the edge. So you can do whatever you like. I actually kind of like it like this because it kind of finishes it. If you put the colors in the edges, to me, it looks like it was like, oh, that's where I ran out of fabric. I don't know. Anyhow, that is it, I think. I think I'm going to roll this one back. Any questions at all before I end this? Let's see. Yellow. Yeah. Okay. So let's put some pins in this. And I will do this overhead so you can see it. Overhead. Okay. So this is the one that I did where I stuck the color in behind. So I'm just going to pin this so you can see it up here. Just roll it. Do I have any pins? I'll steal some of these. Okay. Like that. Pivot. Roll it. See how that blue is being exposed that we put behind in the back? That is so cool. I love it. So it's like a way to use double scraps, right? Like that. It's just so cool. I love it. Okay. A couple more things and then we'll be done. Okay, so isn't that fun? Isn't that pretty? It would be so cool. I think I'm going to do that. Like randomly, you know, where they're just like popping out like stars or something. Pretty cool. All right. Oh, thank you, Reba. And thank you, Donna. So nice. Okay. So if you are like so interested in this and you're like, I got to know more. This, if you can find it, is how I learned this originally. It's a book called Cathedral Window, A New View. Very, very old book. Don't know if it's, I know it's not in print, but you might could find one. That's probably backwards for you. But anyhow, Cathedral Window, A New View, by Mary Ryder Klein. I have made this one before. It's called a cathedral spire. You have to actually draft it on paper, but it's the same exact technique. It's just done with rectangles instead of squares, and it's like really pretty. Really, really pretty. And I think it would be gorgeous with the colors behind it. So now I'm on to something else. Wonderful. Another project. So yeah, cool. Okay, so before you leave, I have to show you a bag. Okay, so I'm gonna take this off. It's probably gonna make a lot of noise, and I'll show you my bags. Hang on, I'm coming right back. Stop. Okay, be right back. I'll just show you a couple because I can. All right, so these are little pouches. Look, isn't this cool? Isn't he cute? Let's see. Whoa. And then it's got a zipper here. Isn't that fun? You'll love this. I will, Donna, just a second. I got a button maker. So I'm sending a button with every bag. Isn't that fun? Okay, so there's that one. And then here's a miniature version. And then this is the one I love. I love this bag. Isn't that cool? It's a backpack. Isn't that cool? And of course it has a button with it. Isn't that fun? So it's like a whole new world. Whole new world. Okay, the author's name was Mary Ryder, R-Y-D-E-R, Klein, K-L-I-N-E, and it was published in 1983, which I think is when I got it. So ages ago. Mary Ryder Klein. So anyway, wow, it looks like my stream worked really well. I hope the audio was okay and everything. Yeah, so if you have any other questions, you can find me below in the description. You can find where to find me. And anything that you saw me use in this products and stuff should be in the description as well. If you come across this video and you haven't subscribed, please do. That would be awesome for me. Yeah, so I hope to see you probably next week. Yep. So, love you guys. Bye.